Many years ago, in the quiet town of Umunze, there lived a man named Rapulu and his wife Udoka. They worked hard to take care of their younger daughter Kamsi. Rapulu ran a small building materials business in the outskirts of the town, while Udoka managed their home and the tiny provision shop attached to it. They weren't wealthy, but they had dreams. Rapulu often talked about building a proper house for his family, a house big enough for Kamsi to grow and thrive. But money was tight, and despite his best efforts, the business barely made enough to keep them afloat. I just need one big break, Udoka. One contract that will change everything. I have been submitting my proposals, but no success. But I know one day things will change, Rapulu would say. Udoka would nod, always the supportive wife. But she knew the reality of their situation. Life at the time was hard, and there were no easy paths to success. One day, Rapulu got the call he had been waiting for. His uncle, who lived in Lagos, informed him about a lucrative contract he could secure. But it meant leaving the town to move to the city of Lagos. For a while, Udoka, this is it, Rapulu said, excitement filling his voice. If this contract works, we can finally start saving for the house and we'll have a better life. Lagos, Udoka asked, her heart sinking. She didn't like the idea of Rapulu being so far away. It's just for a short while, Udoka, Rapulu said, holding her hands gently. I'll be sending money home regularly for upkeep, I promise you. His eyes were bright with hope. This is just a temporary sacrifice so we can have a better life. I'll also be sending money to save for that house we've always dreamed of building. Udoka sighed, still uncertain. But Lagos is so far. What if something happens, Rapulu? What about Kamsi? What if things don't go as planned? Rapulu smiled, squeezing her hands reassuringly. Nothing will go wrong, Udoka. Uncle Ikena said this contract will pay handsomely if I'm willing to work hard. I'm ready. I'm ready to do whatever it takes. After this, we'll never have to struggle again. I'm very sure of it. His voice brimmed with excitement. Just imagine, Udoka. No more worrying. No more worrying about school fees, electric bills. No more stressing over the shop. This is our chance. Udoka looked down, her heart heavy with sorrow. I trust you. But what if it takes longer than you think? What if you don't come back soon? Rapulu lifted her chin gently. I'll come back, Udoka. This is for us, for Kamsi. I'm doing this because I want us to have the best. Just give me some time. Udoka hesitated for a moment before nodding slowly. All right, she whispered. You can go, I'll wait. But please, don't stay too long. We need you. I'll be back before you know it, Rapulu said, grinning. We'll build that house together and you'll see, I'll make everything right. We'll no longer have to struggle. A few weeks later, with a heavy heart but renewed hope, Udoka watched as Rapulu packed his bags and left for Lagos. She stood at the doorway with Kamsi in her arms, waving goodbye as he had disappeared down the dusty road. Life was slow out Rapulu, but Udoka managed. She took care of Kamsi and ran the provision shop, holding on to Rapulu's promises of a brighter future. It wasn't long before things took a dramatic turn, with the return of their neighbor Amara, who had been living in Lagos for years. Amara was a transformed woman. She drove into the village in a sleek car, her hands weighed down with gold jewelry and her wardrobe bursting with the latest fashion. The streets buzzed with gossip about her extravagant lifestyle. She was like the talk of the town. Udoka couldn't help but notice the transformation in Amara. Every time she passed by Amara's house, the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, and music filled the air. Visitors came and left, dressed in flashy clothes, driving expensive cars. The parties were endless and the atmosphere seemed intoxicating. One afternoon, as Udoka walked by, Amara called out to her, "Udoka! Come and join us. Don't pass by like that." Udoka hesitated, but eventually accepted the invitation. She found herself seated with Amara and her glamorous friends, sipping cold drinks as they gossiped about life in the city. The women sparkled in designer clothes, their laughter filling the air with a sense of freedom and luxury. "You know, Udoka," Amara began, flicking her long braided hair over her shoulder with a practiced motion. "You need to leave this dull village life behind. The city is where life happens." She glanced at Udoka's simple outfit, her expression one of pity. "Just look at yourself. You look well. Let's just say you need to upgrade. If you want to enjoy life, you have to look the part." Udoka laughed awkwardly, feeling the sting of Amara's words. "I'm just waiting for Rapulu to return," she said quietly. "He's working on a big contract in Lagos, and we're saving to build our new house." "You're waiting?" Amara raised an eyebrow, her lips curling into a smirk. "Why wait? When you can start living like a queen now." "Let me tell you, life in the city doesn't wait for anyone. You need to present yourself like you belong. New clothes, fine hair, shoes, bags. You have to show people you're on their level. You never know when an opportunity might find you." Udoka's heart skipped a bit. She glanced down at her plain blouse and worn slippers, suddenly feeling out of place. She tried to brush up the uneasy feeling. "But Amara, it's not that easy. We have plans now. We are saving to build." Amara interrupted, leaning forward. "It is. Trust me. I used to think like you. But look at me now. See me." She gestured around dramatically. "Invest in yourself first, and everything will follow. Leave men. They know what they are doing. People will start treating you differently, and your life will change. But you can't do that if you continue thinking and looking like this." Udoka bit her lip, feeling a wave of uncertainty wash over her. I don't know. Rapulu is really counting on me to save this money." Amara waved a dismissive hand. "Rapulu this, Rapulu that. Men will do what they need to do. But you need to live. You need to live your life. Buy yourself something nice. Look good. Udoka, you will see how good it feels." Days turned into weeks, and Amara's words lingered in Udoka's mind. Every time she saw Amara hosting another gathering or strolling through the village with her head held high, Udoka couldn't shake the image of that glamorous life. One evening, as she sat in her small living room, she held up her phone as she heard the sound of a credit alert. It was Rapulu's remittance. She looked at the money, meant for savings for their building project, and something inside her shifted. The temptation was overwhelming. Before she knew it, she was at a clothing shop, staring at an expensive gown hanging in a shop window. "It's just a dress. Just one dress. Just a little indulgence. It won't hurt anybody," she said. Soon, she was at the counter, handing over a large amount of cash. The saleswoman smiled brightly as she wrapped the dress. "Madam, this your clothes. Fine, where? You made an excellent choice. Kai, and expensive." When Udoka wore the dress for the first time, she caught a glimpse of herself in the mirror, and for the first time, she felt a little like the woman at Amara's parties. The dress hugged her perfectly, shimmering in the soft light. She twirled once, admiring her reflection. This won't stop us from building, she told herself, running her hands over the fine fabric. Just one dress, it's not a big deal, Joe. But deep down, Udoka knew this was just the beginning. The thrill of feeling beautiful, of being admired, was too intoxicating. And soon, one dress led to another, and another, until the building project was the last thing on her mind. Each time, Rapulu sent money, Udoka spent a little more on shoes, wigs, handbags. All of it started to fill her closet. And soon she was attending more of Amara's parties back to back. Some within town and even outside the town. Udoka found herself swept up in a new world, far removed from the simple things she had once embraced. She became one of the women she used to envy, moving through the village with a confidence she had never known she had. But the money was slowly disappearing. What was meant to be saved for the house was being squandered on fleeting luxuries. The small shop too began to suffer. Udoka spent less time with her daughter Kamsi, leaving her at the mercy of a close-by neighbor, too caught up in her social circle to worry about anything else. One night, after returning from yet another party, Udoka received a call from Rapulu. "Udoka, my love, I've got great news," he said, his voice filled with excitement. "I promise you I won't be gone for long. I'll be coming back home very soon. The contract is almost complete. And you know what? They've paid me in full, in advance. I'll be sending you the rest of the money right away. Just keep saving it where you used to save the others. I believe it's enough to start that building. When I come back in a few weeks, we can begin the project immediately." Udoka's heart stopped. "You're coming back soon?" she asked, her voice barely steady. "Yes, I'm sure. What we've saved can start our building project now. And you can even invest in other profitable businesses. We'll start the building as soon as I come back. I told you this was going to change our lives," he said, full of excitement. Udoka hung up, her stomach twisting with guilt. There was almost nothing left of the money, and Rapulu was coming home soon. Panic clung to Udoka like a shadow. The money she had recklessly spent on clothes, on hairs, shoes, jewelry, and parties were gone. And with every passing day, the guilt weighed heavier on her heart. She had no way to replace the money Rapulu had sent, money that was meant to build their future. Her mind raced, but every solution seemed impossible. That evening, just as the tension was becoming unbearable, Amara called her. "Udoka, you're coming for Neka's birthday today, right?" Amara's voice burst through the phone full of excitement. Udoka hesitated. She knew she should stay home with Kamsi. Amara, I don't think I'll come. I've got so much on my mind. I'm having a serious financial crisis." Her voice trailed off. Amara interrupted her, her tone casual yet enticing. Financial crisis? That's exactly why you need to come tonight. I told you now, I'm your go-to girl. I'll help you. There's this guy, Mr. Richard, he's a business consultant. Knows how to turn money around there. Trust me, Udoka. This might be your solution. Come, when you come, he will help you. Udoka's heart raced. Are you sure? I've lost so much already. Ha! Very sure. The guy is good. Amara replied smoothly. Just come to the party. I'll introduce you. Who knows? This might be your way out and there won't be need to worry. Later that evening, despite the nagging voice in her head telling her to stay at home, Udoka found herself once again dressing up for a party. She dropped Kansi at her neighbor's place as usual and hurried to Amara's. The music was already thumping in the background when she arrived, and laughter filled the air. But tonight, Udoka wasn't here for the fun. She was desperate. As promised, Amara wasted no time introducing her to Mr. Richard, a man who exuded charm and confidence. He was tall, well-dressed, with a smooth, practiced smile. Udoka, this is Mr. Richard, the man I've been telling you about, Amara said, giving Udoka a reassuring smile. Richard, meet Udoka, a dear friend of mine. Ah, Udoka, Mr. Richard said, flashing his pearly white. Amara's told me about you. Heard you were looking for a way to make some serious returns on your money. Udoka nodded, trying to hide her nervousness. Yes, she admitted. I need to double my money fast too. Mr. Richard leaned in closer, his voice smooth and low, almost swallowed by the music. Well, you are in luck. I've got a business deal in Port Harcourt that's about to pay out really huge. It's simple. If you invest now, you can double your money within 7 days. No risk, no stress, and it's very sure. Udoka's eyes widened. Double in 7 days? Absolutely, Richard replied confidently, sipping from his glass. I've done this for many people, including Amara. Ask her now. She was tempted to confirm from Amara, but she was already far from her, drawn by the music and dancing in the room. Udoka's pulse quickened. It sounded too good to be true, but she needed to replace the money. Rapulu was coming back home. She couldn't let Rapulu find out that she had squandered it. The shame would be unbearable. But how much do I need to invest? Udoka asked, her voice shaking with anticipation. Mr. Richard smiled. It depends on how much you want to double. The more you invest, the more you'll get back. It's up to you. Without another thought, Udoka pulled out her phone. Her hands trembled as she checked the balance in her account. The last bit of money Rapulu had sent was all she had left. This was a gamble, but in her desperation, it felt like the only way to fix everything. Well, she said, swallowing her fear. I'll send the money now. Mr. Richard's smile widened. Smart choice. You'll thank me in a week. With her heart racing, Udoka transferred the last of Rapulu's money to Mr. Richard's account. As soon as the transaction was complete, Mr. Richard shook her hands. You won't regret this, Udoka. Just give it a week and you'll be swimming in returns. But as Udoka handed over her last hope, a gnawing ease settled in the pit of her stomach. The music, the laughter, the lights, they all blurred together as she tried to shake off the dread creeping over her. Had she just made the biggest mistake of her life? Days passed, and the silence from Mr. Richard grew more deafening with each one. Udoka's anxiety turned to full-blown panic as she tried to call him again, but his phone was still switched off. She tried repeatedly, hoping that it was just a misunderstanding, but with each failed attempt, a sinking feeling gripped her heart. She had been scammed. The money, Rapulu's money, all was gone. Unable to bear it any longer, Udoka grabbed her bag and rushed over to Amara's house, her heart racing. Amara! Amara! Oh! Udoka cried, bursting into the house. Her voice was thick with desperation. Amara, who had been lounging casually on her sofa, looked up in surprise. Udoka, what's the matter? I'm dead, oh, Amara, I'm dead. I don't know how to reach Mr. Richard. It's been over a week now. I can't get through to him. His phone is always off. I gave him 10 million naira. The last money my husband Rapulu sent. He promised he would double it in 7 days. But now, nothing. No word, no money. Udoka's voice cracked as she spoke, her hands trembling. Amara's face paled. You gave him how much? 10 million? Why did you tell me before you gave him that much money? Amara's voice rose in disbelief. Udoka sobbed, her voice shaking. I didn't think it would go this way. You told me he was reliable. You said he helped you, Amara. You said he helped you. Udoka, I did tell you about him, but I didn't know you were going to give him that much without consulting me. Mr. Richard, he's tricky. There's a way we deal with him if we want him to deliver. You can't just hand him money like that, Udoka's knees buckled as she clutched her chest, tears streaming down her face. What do you mean? You never said anything like that. I trusted you, Amara. You didn't tell me. Amara sighed. shaking her head slowly. Udoka, I'm so sorry, but I'm afraid that money is gone. It's gone. Mr. Richard, he's not always straightforward at all. I didn't think you would go all in like this without checking me first. Udoka's eyes widened in horror. So you knew he wasn't trustworthy? You could take the money and run? Udoka let a wail, collapsing onto the floor. No, Rapulu will kill me. What have I done? How could I be so stupid? Udoka's heart pounded in her chest as the reality of her situation crashed down on her. She had lost everything: the money, her husband's trust, her future, and now she would have to face the consequences. As the days passed, Udoka's heart raced each time her phone rang. The dread of Rapulu's voice grew stronger with each call. She had no idea how she would face him, how she would explain the mess she had created. And when Rapulu finally returned from Lagos, she felt as though the walls were closing in. Rapulu burst through the door, his face lit with excitement and pride. He swept Udoka into a warm hug and then scooped up little Kamsi, spinning her in the air. Udoka, my love! I know by now your provision store will be booming. I know those upkeep money I was sending to you, they were more than enough, Abi. I had to do double shifts. I really needed this big break so our life would change for the better. I'm tired of suffering. I didn't used to sleep in Lagos, so all my colleagues used to laugh at me. They called me the machine, but I didn't listen to them. I want a good life for my beautiful wife and my lovely princess, he said, hugging Kamsi, who wrapped herself tightly round him. Udoka stood frozen, her heart pounding in her chest. She could barely muster a smile as Rapulu continued to rant, his voice filled with excitement and hope. I've been in touch with Okechukwu, then my customer that is a building contractor. He's already on his way here to give us a quote for the house. I want us to start immediately, he continued excitedly. Finally, we'll start building our future. No more suffering, Udoka. Can you believe it? All that hard work is finally paying off, he said. Udoka's mouth went dry. She tried to speak, but the words stuck in her throat. She could feel the weight of her guilt pressing down, making it hard to breathe. Rapulu's happiness, his dreams, his sacrifice, it all felt like a knife twisting in her heart. Rapulu, she finally managed, her voice shaking. I didn't save the money. Rapulu's eyes narrowed. What do you mean you didn't save the money? So where is it, smart woman? Did you put it in your business? But you shouldn't have put all now. At least there'll still be some that we can start work with. No, I didn't put it in my business, Udoka whispered, her head hanging low. I spent it. The room fell into a suffocating silence. Rapulu stared at her, his face slowly hardening, confusion turning into disbelief. You did what? Rapulu roared, his voice echoing through the house. You spent 60 million naira in less than 3 months. How is that even possible? He asked, his eyes wide in anger. She couldn't look at him. She could barely breathe. I didn't mean to. I thought. Her voice broke and the tears spilled over. You thought what? Rapulu roared, his voice shaking with dread. That money was for our house, Udoka, for our future. How could you spend it? Udoka fell to her knees, sobbing. I'm sorry, Rapulu. I'm so sorry. I got carried away. I don't know. Is this a joke? Please, Udoka, tell me you are joking. Just tell me you're joking. I'm not joking, my husband. Please forgive me. What about the last money I sent you? The 10 million naira. I just sent you that money last week. It's less than 2 weeks, he stated. I tried investing it in a 1 week get rich scheme, but I was scammed, she said. Rapulu's face turned pale as the full weight of her words sank in. His fists clenched by his side, his jaw tight with barely contained anger. You were scammed? His voice was shaking, his body trembling with rage. You took all the money I sent, the money I slaved for, and gave it to some scammer. Udoka! Hey. He laughed bitterly, a sound so cold it sent shivers down Udoka's spine. I can't believe this. I can't just believe this. I broke my back working day and night, and you threw it all away? Udoka sobbed harder, unable to lift her head, unable to meet his eyes. Please, Rapulu. Please, Rapulu. I'm sorry. I'll find a way to make it right. I swear. Make it right? Rapulu shouted, his voice thunderous. How? How will you make it right? Do you think money falls from the sky, Udoka? You've ruined us. You've ruined my life. The sound of Kamsi whimpering in the corner brought the room to a standstill. Rapulu turned, his face softening as he looked at their daughter, who was clutching her doll tightly, her eyes wide with fear. Rapulu took a deep breath, trying to calm himself, but his eyes still blazed with the fury as he turned back to Udoka. Pack your things, he said coldly. You're going back to your parents' house immediately. I can't even look at you right now. I'll figure out how to clean this mess up, but I can't do it with you here. Udoka's heart shattered at his words. She had lost everything. The trust, the future they had built together, and now her home. All because she couldn't resist the lure of a life she didn't even truly want. Tears streamed down her face as she stood slowly, her body trembling. I'm sorry, Rapulu. I never meant for this to happen. Rapulu didn't respond. His silence was worse than his anger, and as Udoka packed her bags, the reality of her actions crushed her. There was no going back. She had broken the man she loved, and there would be no easy way to fix it. As Udoka packed her belongings, the weight of her decisions bore down heavily on her. The once warm and hopeful home she had shared with Rapulu and Kamsi now felt cold, suffocating. Each item she placed in her bag reminded her of the life she had shattered, the dreams of a new house, the hard-earned money Rapulu had sent, and the trust they had built over the years. It was all gone, and she had no one to blame but herself. Kamsi, their little girl, stood quietly by the door, her wild eyes filled with confusion. Mama, where are you going? She asked, softly, clutching her doll tighter. Udoka turned to her daughter, forcing a pained smile through her tears. I'm just going to visit Grandma and Grandpa for a while, my love. Be a good girl for Daddy, okay? She bent down, pulling Kamsi into a tight hug, holding her as if it was for the last time. Her heart ached, knowing she had broken not just Rapulu's trust, but Kamsi's safe, happy world as well. Rapulu stood in the corner of the room, arms crossed, his face a mask of cold anger. He watched her without saying a word, his eyes distant and hard. There was no room for forgiveness right now, not after everything. As Udoka picked up her bag, Rapulu finally spoke, his voice low and bitter. See, you will repay every kobo, Udoka. I'll just give you a few weeks so you can figure out yourself. But you have to pay every single dime of that money or there will be consequences. You don't have any idea what you have done. Udoka's heart clenched at his words. She nodded, unable to speak, knowing that Rapulu's anger was justified. She had ruined everything. With one last glance at her daughter and husband, Udoka stepped out of the house, her feet heavy with regret. The door closed behind her, and the life she had once known was gone, possibly forever. The end. Udoka's story is one of regret. A story of how fleeting desires can lead to lasting consequences. After Rapulu sent her out in a fit of anger, she was sent back to her parents' home in disgrace. The once proud wife, who dreamt of life in the city, now moved from the town where she was to go live with her parents in the village. Her parents, shocked and disappointed, took her in, but spared no time in showcasing their displeasure in her actions. The shame of being sent away weighed heavily on Udoka's shoulder. As for Rapulu, he struggled to rebuild the business he had left in his wife's care. With no money left to continue the building project and a crumbled trust between him and Udoka, the future that once seemed so bright had dimmed considerably. He focused on the business with all his energy, knowing that it would take a long time to recover from the financial loss. Yet, his heart was wounded and he had no desire to speak to Udoka. This story of Udoka teaches us several important lessons. However, the one that stands out for me is that contentment is key. One of the greatest downfalls of Udoka was her inability to appreciate the life she already had. She had a loving husband, a daughter, a home, but the allure of more glamorous lifestyle led her to forsake it all. In life, we must learn to be content with what we have, recognizing that happiness does not come from material wealth, but from the relationships and values we hold there. In the end, Udoka's downfall was a result of her own choices, and though she tried, the road to recovery was long and filled with pain. The story serves as a powerful reminder that the grass is often greener on the other side, and the real values lie in simple, honest paths we walk with those who truly matter. Please share your thoughts in the comment section. Do you think Rapulu went too far, sending Udoka away like that? What would you have done as Udoka in this situation? I would love to hear your comments in the comment section, and please don't forget to like, subscribe for more interesting stories like this until I come your way next time with another interesting story. Bye.